Hey everyone, I'm Saisha and today I'm going to be doing a BGA specific teach of Imperial Settlers, a game designed by Ignacy Sevicek and published by Portal Games. In this game, you're going to be leading one of the four clans, which are Romans, Egyptians, Japanese, or Barbarians. Before the game begins, BGA asks you to select your most preferred faction. There are going to be 5 rounds in the game, and every round there are going to be 4 phases. In the first phase, which is called the lookout phase, we are going to get cards. There are 2 kinds of cards in the game. The first ones are from the common deck, which is common for all the players. The second one will be your own faction card, which is going to come from your own faction deck. As you can see, my faction deck currently has 27 cards and the common deck has 77 cards. Let's have a quick look at the cards. On the top left corner is the building cost, so I need to pay 2 wood and a stone to build this particular card. On the right side is the goods that you're going to get after you raise a card. These are the raise tokens, and for raising cards you need to spend these tokens. All the common cards have 1 victory point associated with them, and it is indicated by the small star symbol, and all your own faction card is indicated by 2 star symbols. That's another way of identifying your faction card and the common cards, apart from the background of course. Let's go ahead and have a look at our faction board. The first part of the faction board is for production, and all the cards that you build of production type, it is going to get played in this area. The second section is the feature, and all the cards of the feature type is going to come here. The third section of your faction board is going to be for the action cards, and all the cards of the action type, as you would have guessed it, is going to come this side. Now the common cards that you're going to build is going to be on the right side of the faction board, and all the faction cards that you're going to build, it is going to come towards the left side of the board. Coming back to the cards, the type of the cards are written very clearly in this section. This one is of production type, the second one is of feature, and the third one is of action type. There is no hand limit of cards in this game, and also the goods and the resources are supposed to be limitless. We are, by the way, still in the layout phase. In the layout phase, you are supposed to take the cards. After the layout phase, production phase is going to happen. In the production phase, you are going to get all the resources that are printed on your faction board in the production area. After BGA gives you all the resources, comes the action phase. The action phase is where the entire action of the game is going to happen. That means you are going to build cards by spending the resources. You are going to activate the cards and so on. The last phase is the cleanup phase that BGA is going to do. And after the cleanup phase is done, the next round will begin. Let's now see all of these in detail with examples. In the first phase, which is the lookout phase, you are supposed to select one of the cards from this area. The number of cards in this section will be number of players plus 1. Since I'm playing a 2-player game, it is 2 plus 1, which is 3. There are going to be 2 turns in the lookout phase, and every turn you are supposed to select 1 card from this section. I'm going to go ahead and select this one. Since I was the first player in this turn, I will be the second player in the next turn, and so on. After the lookout phase is done, then we move on to the production phase. In the production phase, you are going to get all the resources that is printed on this section of your faction board. So I got 2 workers, 1 raise, 1 defense, 1 wood, and 1 stone. You can also have a look at this section to see all the resources that you have gotten, and it is also going to be present in this section. Suppose later in the game there are cards which are going to produce resources. You are going to get those resources in the production phase as well. We don't actually have to do anything in the production phase. BGA calculates all the resources from your faction board as well as any of the cards that you would have played, and then we move on to the action phase. Action phase is the main part of the game. This is where the entire action is going to take place. There are 5 things that you can do in the action phase, and every turn you are going to do one of the 5 actions. The first one is building a location. For building a location, you select a card, for example this one, and then you pay the cost. This card, for example, needs 1 wood to be built. This one, on the other hand, needs 2 woods. There are some cards which are free to build and they do not require any resources. Since I have a wood in my supply, I am going to go ahead and build this one. The cards also, by the way, have names, and this particular card is called Settlers. Let's go ahead and click on build. The cards are going to be of 3 types. The action type, which is this one, and whenever you build an action card, it is going to come and get placed in this area. The feature cards is going to come in this area and the production cards are going to come in the topmost area. After performing an action, our turn is done and then our opponent will take his turn. Another thing that you can do during the action phase is take this conversion action. You can convert 2 of your workers to get either a wood, a stone, a food, or a card. The card can come from your faction deck or it can come from the common deck. Since I have 2 workers, I'm going to go ahead and do the conversion and I'm going to take a wood. If you don't have enough resources to build one of your cards, then you can choose to raise the card. All the cards that comes from the common deck will give you some bonus when you raise it. As you can see over here, it says raise to gain. Whenever I'm going to raise this card, I'm going to get 2 wood token. You can only raise the common cards that are in your hand or in opponent's player area. For raising the cards in your own hand, you need to spend 1 raise token. For raising the common cards of your opponent, which are going to be on the right side of their player board, you are supposed to spend 2 raise tokens. Remember, only the common cards can be raised and not the faction cards. Since I have a raise token, I'm going to go ahead and raise this card and I gained 2 wood. Whenever you raise your opponent's common card, it is going to get flipped down like this and they won't be able to take the actions of those cards. If you don't want this to happen to you, you can try to put a defense shield on your cards and then it is going to increase the cost of raising the card by 1. Let's go ahead and select this and place it on this card. As soon as you place a defense token on the card, the number of raise tokens that your opponent need now to flip this card increases by 1. So now if my opponent wants to raise this card, it is going to cost him 3 raise tokens instead of the normal 2. For this turn, I'm going to go ahead and build this watchtower. The cost of this card is 2 woods and I have 3, so I can definitely build it. And since it is a production type card, it is going to come in this section. Some cards also have building bonuses attached with them. That means as soon as you build a card, you're going to get a bonus. In this situation, it is going to give me an option to take an additional card. That card can be my faction card, which will come from faction deck, or the common card, which is going to come from the common deck. I'm going to go ahead and select the common deck. You are going to get the goods immediately that is produced on the card. In this case, it is 1 more card. For every new round till this card is face up, I'm going to get all these goods printed on this production area as well as 1 card. The resources doesn't carry to the next round, so any resource that you have remaining in your supply is going to get lost. Every faction board is asymmetric and they can store some of the resources. For me, my faction board can store any number of raise token, and for my opponent, they can store any number of workers. But since the resources that are remaining here is not the raise token, I cannot carry these 2 resources in the next round. The cards, however, are carried over to the next round. So if you don't have resources in this round, you can very much build them in the next round. When you don't have the resources for doing any of the actions, you can pass. If all the players passes, the current round is over and we move on to the next round. In the first round, I was the first player and I was having this first player marker. Now for the second round, the first player marker has been moved to my opponent. Like the last time during the lookout phase, I got 1 card from my faction deck and now we are going to take turns picking cards from this area. After the lookout phase is over, like the last time, production phase is going to happen, but this time, apart from getting all the resources that are printed on the faction board, I am also going to get the resources on the production cards. I just have 1 production card that I have built in the first round and it is allowing me to take 1 card. I can choose a faction card or I can choose a common card. Let's quickly go over all the options that you have in the action phase. The first one is building a location. You can pay the resources and build the location card. The second thing that you can do is raise a card. You can raise your common cards by spending 1 raise token, or you can raise your opponent's common card by spending 2 raise tokens. The third option that you have is to take the conversion option of converting 2 workers into any of these resources. The gold tokens represent the currency in the game and it is actually a wild token and you can use the gold in place of wood, stone, or the food. So in a situation where you don't have either of the 3 resources, you can spend the gold token instead. The fourth option that you have in the action phase is to activate any of the cards that you have played. So all the action cards will have some conditions For example, this one says I can spend 1 worker to draw 1 card. The fifth and the final type of action that you can take during the action turn is making a deal. You can only make deals by using your faction cards and not the common ones. For making a deal, you need to spend 1 food resource. As soon as you do that, this card is going to get inverted and it is going to get tucked over here. Let's go ahead and see that in action. I'm going to click make a deal. And now for the remaining rounds in the game, every time the production phase is going to get activated, I'm going to get all these resources plus the resources on the production card as well as everything that is here in the deals section, which in this case is currently just a worker. Let's now go ahead and see how to raise an enemy's card. For raising an enemy card, I need minimum 2 raise tokens. I have only 1 raise token that I got from this production section. One of my faction card is luckily going to give me a raise token if I put it in the deal section. I don't have any food token to make a deal, but I do have the gold token, which I can use instead of the food token. Let's go ahead and click on make a deal. And now we have got a raise token in the deal section. As soon as you make a deal or you play a production card, you're going to get the resource right away. And also every time during the production phase. I have the minimum raise token for raising one of my opponent's card, but unfortunately my opponent has passed for this round. And the players who have passed for this round, you cannot raise their cards. So either I can raise any of the cards from my hand, or I can save it for the next round because of the feature of my faction board. I'm going to save it for the next round and show our opponent a proper raise. This turn we have 3 raise tokens, so we can indeed raise one of our opponent's card. And remember, you can only raise the common cards and not their faction cards. Hence this section is disabled for us. I'm going to go ahead and select this card. It gets flipped face down and all the abilities on the card is lost. The cards that are face down in your player area can be used as foundation while you're building your faction card. If you have a look at the faction cards, notice there is a small house symbol. For example, for building this architect building, which is one of my faction card, I need to spend 2 stone and an additional building. That building can be any of the buildings that I have already built, or I can use one of the face down card as a building. So if your opponents have flipped one of your cards face down, it is actually not all useless. You can use these cards for building your faction cards. Let's go ahead and see that in action. I'm going to go ahead and build the trade colony, and it requires 1 wood, 2 stones and another building. I'm going to spend this wood and a stone, and in place of another stone, the gold token got used up. And now BGA is asking me which card I want to give up so that I can build this faction card. So since this card is face down, I'm going to give up this one. But in a situation where you do not have any face down card, you can give up any of your face up buildings. Let's go ahead and click on this, and that card gets discarded, and we have got our new faction building. We have talked about the production card and the action cards, but we haven't talked about the feature card. Let's have a look at one of those. I have this faction card over here, which is of feature type. This one says every time I build a gray color building, I'm going to get 1 victory point or 1 gold. And you can see the color of the building in this section. This is of gray color. If we have a look at our player board, this card is of yellow color, this one is of green, pink, blue and so on. Some of the cards have multiple colors, which is this one over here. It is red, brown as well as gray. I'm going to go ahead and build it. You can track your victory points just below your name. At the end of the game, all the common cards are going to give you 1 victory point, and all the faction cards that you have built are going to give you 2 victory points. Some of the faction cards give you extra victory points like the Japanese faction gate or the shrine, and it is always mentioned on the card. The game is going to continue in the same manner for 5 rounds. At the end of the 5th round, whoever has maximum victory points will be the winner. In case of a tie, the person with maximum resources will be the winner. In case of a further tie, the player with the maximum number of cards will be the winner. And with that, you're now ready to play Imperial Settlers on Board Game Arena. I'll see you with a new game next time. Bye. Happy gaming.